Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. So the IRS is under intense scrutiny after it was revealed that its $46 billion boost in funding resulted in just $4.7 billion back taxes and criminal proceeds. The funding was intended to increase tax enforcement, but critics now question the efficiency of the IRS strategy. Republicans in Congress plan to cut the funding, arguing the investment failed to yield significant returns. IRS Commissioner Danny Warford defended the agency, saying new capabilities are still being developed, but financial uncertainty looms with a potential GOP-led budget cut. Now, Elon Musk is cutting to get rid of the IRS altogether. I don't know how that's feasible, given that federal taxes, state taxes are all linked to the Internal Revenue Service, and how taxes in general are supposed to build and maintain the infrastructure of America, like bridges, roads, all sorts of, municipalities, federal reserves when it comes to water and natural resources. So I don't know how that's feasible. I think America will crumble if you just totally try to get rid of the IRS. Now, cutting the funding, streamlining it, cutting the fat, so to speak, decreasing the amount of people that work there, that's possible because businesses do that all the time. AKA Boeing, they always release 1,000 to 3,000 people and then they hire them right back when a new contract comes to the table. But nonetheless, I don't really think that's feasible. Nobody likes the IRS. I don't think people who work for the IRS likes the IRS because they have to abide by the IRS tax laws and rules. And again, maybe they know some loopholes. Those are the people who are in the high executive office. But if you're just working as a secretary answering the phone, you're paying taxes just as the next person who doesn't work for the IRS. So I don't know. I don't know if that's possible or not, given how the IRS is intertwined into every fabric of America that we know of today. Former Black staffers from Kamala Harris campaign have come forward with allegations of outright racial discrimination during their employment. They claim Harris team focused on white suburban voters while neglecting outreach to Black and Latino communities. Some Black staffers reported being sidelined, underpaid, and forced to independently organize minority voter engagement. This alleged mismanagement is believed to have contributed to Harris' loss in key battleground states. This miss me with all that, because none of you guys said anything while Kamala Harris was running because you guys were getting paid. Oh, but we were underpaid after the fact. Here's another question. If Kamala Harris would have became president, would these same Black staffers would have came out and cried about racial discrimination? Probably not, because they probably would have got a position, either be low, medium, or high in her administration. So miss me with all that. Don't throw the rock and hide your hand and say, oh, we were treated bad because we were Black and they was focused on white suburban. Yeah, because the Democratic Party, let alone Kamala Harris, believes that they always have the Black vote in bag. So they ignore, they benign, neglect the Black vote. They just pander us. What they do is they say, we're going to get some Black entertainers. We're going to get some Black actors. We're going to get some Black singers. We're going to get Beyonce. We're going to get Meg Thee Stallion. We're going to Glorilla. We're going to get Plies. We're going to get anybody we can to persuade Black folk to not pay attention to the real problems of America and some of these policies that we can dedicate to the Black community. We're not going to do that. We're going to focus all of our energy. We're going to focus the hundreds of millions of dollars that was donated to the Kamala Harris campaign to pander to white suburban voters. And you see how that turned out. Because at the same time, you guys was allowing millions of illegal immigrants inside the countries. You was passing all of these LGBTQ transgender policies that really didn't need to be passed. Now, it has to do with people's right to expression. Okay. But when you start pushing things inside of schools and messing with the kids, I would like to say the great majority of Americans are totally against that. I don't know who was against all of this, and they're calling it liberalism. They're calling it woke. Stop with the woke stuff. I'm hearing people who know what woke actually mean use woke in a very derogatory terminology. And granted, I know throughout the course of time, words transform and they somehow change meaning. I don't know how the etymology of words actually change meaning, but again, I do, because woke at one point in time meant empowerment. Black folk was using the term woke as understanding the construct in which you live and how the white power structure, and when I mean the white power structure, the white supremacy power structure, played a role in the system of government and how people were essentially being done wrong by these laws. But now woke means anything that's not conservative. Woke means anything that is essentially part of the LGBT community. Woke is anything that the vast majority of people who are traditional, like myself, don't agree with. But I really don't coin the term woke in those regards. I know Ron DeSantis came out talking about stop woke, and then when people started to ask what woke is, they were like, oh, it's liberalism. Okay. And then some people believe that woke is interchangeably meaning that it's black or it's black adjacent or it's black people. Again, if you want to use the term woke in those regards, define what woke is to most people, because for a lot of us who part of the baby boomer and Generation X, we believe woke is a form of empowerment, understanding things, not all this liberal, anti-LG, anti-Semitism. There's none of that. There's none of that from how I grew up for it to be. South Dakota farmers are sounding the alarm about President-elect Trump's plan to deport illegal workers. Farmers say undocumented labor makes up a significant share of their workforce, warning that removing these workers will leave farms understaffed within 2 days, one farmer said. Half of our workers are foreign born. If they round them up, we won't have food. Farmers hope Trump will reconsider the approach to avoid a collapse in food production. And this is what I've been saying for quite some time. A lot of these people who are near the border, who employ illegal immigrants, they're going to cry foul when Donald Trump started to deport a lot of these illegal immigrants. And the farmers are stating that these farms are going to be understaffed. And after a while, what's going to occur, they're going to say, well, you know what? Oranges, peaches, grapes, anything that's grown on a farm is going to rise in price, let alone inflation, because we are understaffed and we can't produce as much as we once did. So we have a high demand and low supply chain. So we have to raise the prices. That's the economy. That's capitalism. And those are some of the things we're going to have to deal with. So again, there's some things that we may have to look at when it comes to illegal immigration. And don't forget, Donald Trump said this as well. We're going to get rid of violent criminals first. So look for gangs, mafias, and cartels be the first to be deported. And I think there's going to be a slowdown after the second year, because I believe he's going to allow, he's not going to make it public. He's going to allow those people who are over here working these farms, because he's going to hear these farmers who are business owners, who are feeding America, next to Bill Gates and the Chinese, who owns a large proportion of American farms, if not 90% of American farms. Bill Gates owns more American farms than anyone else in America. And then secondly are the Chinese. So a lot of these are essentially private farmers. And again, this is something we should be looking closely at, of how he may do this while keeping those farms staffed. President-elect Donald Trump nomination of former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence has drawn praise from former CIA counterterrorism chief Bernard Hudson. Hudson believes Gabbard's military background and independent thinking will restore trust in the intelligence community. Critics, however, point to Gabbard's past controversial comments on U.S. foreign policies. People make comments all the time. I make comments that later on I say, I wish I didn't say that. Or now that I have new information, my stance has changed, or I've gained new insight because I spoke to different colleagues about the situation and they enlightened me on, I got more insight. So I now change my stance. That happens all the time. I don't know why people use something you said a year ago, 2 years ago, and use that against you today. But again, it's about accountability, because politicians will change their stance all the time. But when they're being approached and they're being interviewed, they say, well, 4 years ago, you said this. Did you change what you thought? And they'll double down and say, well, no, this is a different avenue. No, it's okay. With new information, you change your mind. Like, take, for instance, your son come home every day. You say, son, you have homework? No, dad, I don't have any homework. Then the teacher tells you he hasn't been turning his homework. So he gets a child rearing because now you have new information that he did have homework. He just wasn't doing it. I know that's a really silly example, but I know a lot of you would definitely understand what I'm getting at. Okay, let's move right along. It says that following Trump's reelection, federal employees are resigning in droves as fears growing over his plan to overhaul government agencies. So people are quitting their jobs because Donald Trump is coming to office. Wait till Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy fire you so you can get unemployment. First, we had the FBI chief, Chief Wray is going to resign before Donald Trump's inauguration. And now you have all these federal employees who are resigning. And I'm just like, just get fired. You know how the system works. You can get paid unemployment until you get another gig. Again, and some of you may not even get fired because when they realize how the Democrats totally destroyed the government, they say, we don't have to keep at least 90% of these people for at least 2 years, and then we can start cutting back. We got a lot of things going on that we really need to find out what the hell is actually going on in this government in order for these guys to fix it. And again, I'm betting for the betterment of America. This is not being on Donald Trump's side or Elon Musk's side. This is on the side of America. Everybody should want America to do well because when America does well, you should be doing well. Okay, that doesn't mean the rich get richer because essentially everybody stated, from the people who were sweeping the streets to the billionaires on their yacht, they stated when Donald Trump was in office, they were making more money than they ever made before. People were getting raises, bonuses were higher, 401ks, the stock market was doing good. Everything was good in Candyland. But then COVID hit and everything changed. But yeah, people are quitting their job. I wouldn't quit my job. You're gonna have to fire me. Oh yeah, you firing me? People are like, you don't have to fire me, I quit. Don't quit. Get fired. But don't put that on your resume. Political violence is on the rise across America with assassination attempts of political figures and attacks on federal buildings. Declining trust in democratic institutions, social media-driven extremism, and demographic changes are fueling this new wave of violence. Analysts warn of a violent populism era, suggesting political unrest could continue into 2025. Yeah, I've been hearing there's been an uptick in political violence when it comes to congressmen, senators, councilmen. I've been watching our brother Afro Elite. He's been going to a lot of the council considering meetings there in Chicago, talking to Brandon Johnson of Chicago, who allowed that city to be a sanctuary city and let alone allow hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants to pull down the infrastructure and the economy and overraid the communities where people are living and increase in violence in those neighborhoods as well. So yeah, I understand, but here's the thing. Where's the root of the problem? When did all this political violence really start? It really started when Joe Biden got kicked from his seat and running for the next, to be the next president because alleged failing health concerns, and he pretty much wanted to retire at the age of 80 something, okay? And that's when a lot of these so-called riots with the attempted assassination of President-elect Donald Trump. So when we look at these things, hopefully this would die down because no one needs to lose their life because of politics, even though politics is more serious than we know. Now, when it comes to the federal level, legislations and bills, most of these legislations take time to reflect down inside your home, but it's really your state and local laws that affect you quicker and more on the home front when it comes to you guys' homes. The New York Times is under fire for delaying coverage of President Biden's role in the border crisis until after the 2024 election. Okay? Critics accuse the media of withholding critical information to shield Biden and influence public opinion. This revelation has reignited debates over media bias and journalistic integrity. And they're also stating that somehow deporting migrants or just mentioning deporting migrants is racist. So We're calling out those who are illegal in America and deporting them is racist. Now, we're just using this term too loosely now. We're using this term for each and everything. Deporting people who are illegally in the country is not racist at all. Absolutely not. I don't know where they're getting this information from. I don't know where they're getting this rhetoric from, but let's just stop. Can we go back to the etymology of words and really read what racism and discrimination and bias and bigotry really is? But people who are illegal in the country, no, we're not falling for that one. We're definitely not falling for that. Let me see here, guys, because I want to get to the Syria story very quickly. I see I got some duplicates up here. Bear with me. Just bear with me here, because Syrians took to the streets of Damascus to celebrate the fall of President Bashar al-Assad. The U.S. is pushing for a peaceful political transition, with Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting with regional leaders in Iraq. Meanwhile, Syria's interim government has called on the United Nations to address the issue of occupied territories, while Turkey announced plans to reopen its embassy in Damascus. Again, America, let's stay out of this whole Syria, Israel, Russia, because don't forget, the Syrian president, Bashar al-Assad, took refuge in Russia because Vladimir Putin gave him asylum. Simultaneously, while the jihadists and rebels were taking over Syria, internally, externally, Israel was bombing Syria and destroyed damn near the entire navy of Syria. So again, even though we're tied to it because of our connections and our partnerships and our trades, I'm just asking if we can please stay out of this one, because we are always in some mess. I really want to stay out of it. Now, this came across the news feed late in the day for me. Elon Musk warns Republicans who don't align with Trump's agenda will make a naughty and nice list to monitor actions. I don't think Elon Musk, and here's his real quote, Elon Musk has warned Republicans against standing in Trump's way. So media has a way to word things in such a way where it sounds on top like they're really trying to construct a dictatorship when Donald Trump and a lot of the people he's appointing to the cabinet, like Elon Musk, to be part of his dictatorship and start a very communistic government. But when I read what he actually wrote, Elon Musk has warned Republicans against standing in Donald Trump's way. So he understands that Democrats are being opposing to most of the things that Donald Trump is trying to do. And what he's saying, in my opinion, this is how I'm reading it. You either fall in line or you're against us. You either for us or against us, and we're going to be watching you. That's why. Is it a warning? It's a warning. It's a warning. But I will say I'll be very careful. I'll rather toe the line, because just because I don't agree with every single thing that Donald Trump is doing, just because I don't agree with every single thing Elon Musk is doing, doesn't mean that we can't have a very wholesome and conglomerate government where we have very heartfelt, helpful, and healthy debates and conversation to still get things done. I don't believe everybody should agree with what everybody is doing. Donald Trump is not going to agree with all of his advisors. Elon Musk is not going to agree with all of his advisors. But when it comes on flip side, then we should all agree with what you guys are saying. No, we're still going to judge you right down the line as well. That is what we're going to do. Elon Musk warned GOP to fall in line with Trump's agenda or else. That's a warning. That's a warning. A lot of you have done a lot of shady things, and when Donald Trump is ready to give pardons, your name will not be on the list. That's what I got from it. I don't think they're going to do anything. You know, they may have some people to resign. They may fire some people. But if you've done some shady mess and they got some dirt on you, don't look for a pardon. That's what I'm alluding to. The political way, the civil manner. Trump eyes prioritizing United States Postal Service during second term. I said this yesterday. I didn't say it directly in this form, but what I stated was that Elon Musk has millions and billions of dollars of government contracts. And he can easily take over this contract of converting a lot of these old mail trucks to electric mail trucks. Don't forget, the government spent $10 billion building these new electric postal service trucks that are not yet on the road. They're having all these sorts of hiccups. I forgot the company. It's a large company that they had contracted with, but easily the government always write their contracts in a way that they can cancel the contract at any time and give it to anybody they want to. Look for Elon Musk or someone who's closely adjacent to Elon Musk to get this contract and make these postal service trucks autonomous, grade A GPS, and probably cheaper than the $10 billion bill that they granted to this other company. So look out for that. And they're thinking about privatizing United States Postal Service. And then, in my opinion, no, I don't want the USPS to be privatized because, again, United States Postal Service is federally protected. Your mail is federally protected. Anyone knows if you tamper with mail, if you steal mail, you're going to have a whole slew of federal agents after you. Now, you privatize it. The only question I have is, how is that going to work? How is that going to work? It's Saturday here. This is my only broadcast. I do one on Saturday and one on Sunday. If you like Black Logic, if you like my rhetoric and rant or my twist on news, please subscribe to the channel. I try to be very neutral. There is a little bias there, but I try to be very neutral so people can be more objective than subjective to the news. Because you see all the different news sources I go to, because I want balance in my news. I don't want to just listen to Fox News. I just don't want to listen to MSNBC or CNN or Newsweek and all these other news agencies. There has to be a great balance so you can get both perspectives. That way you can find the truth right there in the middle. Brittany states, it should be obvious to everyone that the brilliant scholars who attend Trump rallies are much smaller than all the people who went to college and have good jobs. We are not rubes and dunces. Gene B says, when they claim they are getting rid of the department and the government, it's like big business where they mail the duties of it into an already existing department. Basically, I understand what you're stating. They're going to pretty much merge. They're going to merge a lot of departments. That means, in some regards, depending on the workload that they already have, one or two things can happen. You can actually have a balanced workload because at first you had a light workload, or people are going to be overburdened with work because of all the government cutting and slushing and firing and laying off people. Gene B also states Democrats are expert at changing the meaning of words. They have done this with a focus since the 60s and intensely since the 2000s. I cannot agree with you more. I cannot agree with you more. And that's what we have to be very, very careful of, whether it be the Republicans, the independents, or the Democrats. But I do agree the Democrats have been the #1 perpetrators when it comes to transforming and trying to metamorphosize words to people to be fearful of Republicans. That's why I state when it comes to the political affiliations, I know that majority of people, believe it or not, are conservative minded. You want a good job. You want a nuclear family. You want balance in your life. Now, there's some people who want to be single and lonely and have children by themselves, or be a Mormon inside their homes and just read their books. And there's a few people like that. But most people want family. They want friends. They want good paying jobs. So I understand everything you're stating here this evening. But I thank you guys for joining me here. I see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great and wonderful day. This is Black Logic.